Good morning to H, and welcome back to our sessions on writing instructions. If you remember back to the beginning of last week when we first started this topic, we asked two questions. Why do we need instructions? And what do we have to include when we are writing a set of instructions? And I showed you this slide back then, and we spent most of last week working on the bottom four parts of instructions and recapping in our minds and refreshing all the grammatical things that we need to remember and punctuation things that we need to remember when we're writing instructions. And we looked at imperative verbs. We looked at how we use adverbs with those imperative verbs to make our instructions more precise. We showed how instructions need time connectives to sequence the reader. And we looked at how our instructions needed to be written in short, clear sentences in the present tense. And we did an exercise on making sure that there was one instruction per line. So today we're going to bring the whole thing together and we're going to look at a set of instructions, and a really good set of instructions that ensures everything is included. And when we look at something that is a really good example, we call it what a good one looks like, so that you know when you come to write instructions that you've seen an example that includes all the things that you need to remember. So let me take you through this today. So the first feature is a heading or the title. And this goes right at the top. And it's nice and clear to tell the reader what the instructions are about. It often starts with the word how to. In a recipe, it probably wouldn't use the words how to. It might do how to make brownies, or it might just say Mrs. Higgins' delicious brownies. So it depends on the set of instructions. You need a title, and often it'll include the words how to. The second feature is a subheading. In this case, it says you will need. And this is really important to make sure you have everything that you need before you start into your set of instructions. And therefore, the third feature is lists. So it could be lists of equipment, which it is in this case, that you need to get before you start trying to make your alien spaceship in this case, or it could be a list of ingredients if it was a recipe. And therefore, what is also useful when you have a list of equipment is a diagram or an illustration showing you these things in a visual format. So that is there. So let's move on to our next part of the instructions. And again, we see another subheading. And in this case, it says instructions. So this tells the reader very clearly that you're getting into the meat of the instructions. And this is the bit they need to read once they have checked that they have their ingredients or their equipment ready. We can see that these instructions are written in bullet points. You could use numbers if you prefer, and that we also have some more diagrams and illustrations here so that the reader knows exactly what they're trying to achieve. So if we were to look carefully at these instructions, we would see that we have included all the things we talked about last week. Each instruction uses an imperative verb, a bossy verb. Almost all instructions have an adverb. It's not actually the case that you'd need to include an adverb every single time. I know we did it last week so that we could embed our learning, but it may not always be the case that an adverb makes the instruction better. But if it does and you can think of one, that's a really great thing to add to your instructions. We know that there is one piece of information or one step or one thing to do written on each line. We can see that our time connectives are there to sequence the reader, and each word that is a time connective, like first, second, or third, is followed by a little comma. So boys and girls, class 2H, that is what a good one looks like. And today you're going to take all these different parts of a set of instructions and make sure we put them in the right order and make sure we haven't forgotten any of them. Enjoy.